Trying to give him some B-roll.
What's up, everybody? Podcast time.
What's up, guys?
Anthony Bashor, Jamie Barfield, Caleb behind the mic. You got
Yo.
a camera on you today?
No, we're setting up for Sacred Sunday, so
Oh,
the
all right,
camera
cool.
that we use for me is at the bottom of the stairs
All right.
now.
Today, shorter podcast. I'm diving right in. You ready?
Let's do it.
We heading into sacred season. By the time people see this, sacred season will be or sacred Sunday will be over. So sacred season will be over. And so we kind of turned the page on that. And so, but because of the snow this week, we're behind. We missed a day of work, and it's already a busy week. So we're just we're diving in immediately from the start.
Let's go.
Okay. You have 2 daughters.
Yes.
I'm going to guess the age 17 of Anna or 16.
She'll be 18 next month.
So 17 of Anna, and I couldn't remember if she was older than Cammie or younger than Cammie. I knew they were right around the same age. So my daughter's Cammie is 17, same as or is
Anna
she
Clark.
16?
Cammie is 16. They're both born in 07.
16. Cammie turned 17?
Yeah. Cammie will turn 17 in October. Anna turns 17 in...
No, Anna's
Anna
18.
turns 18
Anna turns...
in March.
In March, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Yeah.
16, 17, Carson's 18, 19, turning 19, or just turned 19. What is this month? Turning 19th in February. And then Kent is, I'm going to guess, 21-ish? 21.
21. Yep.
So we have 4 daughters
Yes.
between the 2 of us. You have 2, I have 2.
Yes.
You have a daughter that's married
Yes.
and one that likes boys and is
Yes.
very interested in them. And I see her making schmoozy eyes and the hugs she gives and the holding hands and all of those sorts of
Whoa.
things.
They're holding hands.
I have one that is dating a boy. Thank God he lives 3 hours away. I love you, Ricky.
Shout out,
He'll never
Ricky.
watch this though. But and then my baby, who she's fighting them off. So give me parents out there, both sides of, because you have 2 boys coming up as well. I have my oldest, obviously Caleb, is a boy. So much easier with boys. Let's give rules for dating my daughter.
Oh, my goodness.
You have one that's married already,
Yeah.
so you got one that you're finished with this process with.
So,
Give me a rule for dating your daughter. Go.
well, we always said to our daughters that, you're not dating until you're 16. I know a lot of people say that's, way too old, way too young, whatever.
Yeah.
That was just ours. No date until you're 16, and Kent abided by that. She had a few boyfriends. Thankfully, I think, she's married now. I think she had 3 boyfriends during that time period until she's married.
So 3 boyfriends, they come ring
yeah.
the doorbell. They say, "Hey, Mr. Tony, can I take Kent out for dinner?"
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't ask me first. To me, one of my prides as a parent was the conversation with the boys.
Yeah.
The first one, Kimberly said, I can't say this anymore, or couldn't say this anymore after this, but I just told him, don't do anything to my daughter that you don't want me doing to you.
Yeah.
And
Which
he-
totally makes sense.
I mean,
If-
you could sit beside me and watch TV.
right.
You know?
Hold
That
the door
you
open for her?
shouldn't-
Sure, go
yeah,
for it.
you
Buy her
shouldn't-
dinner? Sure, I'll do that to you.
Yeah. You shouldn't be doing anything else.
Touch her hand? That's kind of weird.
That's weird.
But get off her hand, girl.
Exactly.
Boy, whatever you are.
Yeah, so with her, it was very much, of course, he's got to meet us first. And we got to know where you're going.
Yep.
No inappropriate alone time. I know you're going to be alone at the movies.
Yeah.
I got that. But, you're not going to be at my house without me. You're not going to come home after a date and, us not be there.
Yep.
It was always either community events or, sure, yeah, you can be alone while you go to the movies or out to eat.
So one of the things, we did a podcast a couple weeks ago with Carson, and one of the things that some parents have mentioned to me is Carson called it strict and I called it protective. Even inside of her dating, or even Caleb's dating, honestly, but daughters is just different for some reason. Even inside of her dating, I am very protective.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the same way. Like you're not alone. There's a difference in I'm riding in a car to the movies and I'm just sitting in my car in the driveway.
Yeah.
there's a difference. To me, one, you're alone, one, you're traveling. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds weird, but there's a difference. I was a teenager once. There's a difference, And so for us, one of our rules is you're never alone. Don't give yourself opportunity to do anything stupid. And so, if they, if Ricky comes over to the house, that's totally fine. Hang out in the living room with us. We'll stay out here with you. And when we say, all right, Ricky, we're going to bed, he goes, all right, good night. And he gets up and walks away.
Yeah.
Thank God Ricky is who he is, because most other guys probably wouldn't like that. But so it's kind of how we have positioned our household to be a version of normal. You're not alone. I mean,
Yeah, I think that one thing that was difficult for us, and like you said, you're a guy, you were a teenager once. I was a boy. I knew what I thought growing up. I knew when I was a teenager how it was. And Kimberly grew up in a household with, it was just her and her two sisters.
Yep.
She didn't believe me when I said, okay, boys are thinking this.
And Dad passed away when she was...
Yeah, Dad passed away when she was like 12.
12. So she didn't have another male figure there. I'm sure Tim was great at it, but didn't have a male figure to say, no, honey, this is what guys are thinking.
Yeah. I had no clue. And then as Kent was dating, I kept telling her, I was like, hey, listen, we got to be careful here. And, with kids, the difficulty is there's another side of the coin. We're parents over here on this side of it, but then the boy has parents also.
For sure.
So what are their roles? And so then you have to at some point trust the things you've instilled in your kid.
I say it all the time. I tell Caleb hears this all the time. My expectation is whenever he goes over to Reagan's house, the rules at Reagan's house are the same as they are at our house.
Yeah.
That's my expectation.
Yeah.
If they're not, then we need to have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Because these rules we're putting in place to protect you.
Yeah.
How about things like Life 360? So it's a big thing now that wasn't when we were. So I'll tell you a story. My first time out with a curfew, my mom gave me a curfew. At that time, I had a beeper, no cell phone. My mom gives me a curfew I think my curfew was like, 10 o'clock or whatever. My mom gives me a curfew, and some point in the night, I don't know when it was, let's say 8 o'clock, my buddies say, hey, let's go down to Georgetown to Old Gun Church. Let's see ghosts, you know what I mean? And so we're going to go ghost chasing. And so we all jump in cars. No big deal. I didn't drive, jumped in a car with people, drove down to Georgetown, and you're on back roads in Georgetown, and on the way down there we stopped and got dinner somewhere or whatever. And so you're on back roads in Georgetown, and my beeper's blowing up. Mom and Dad weren't happy. By the time I got to a phone, hey, just got back here, I was with somebody else, I'm sorry, I'm on the way. Not an appropriate excuse for Mom. Not happy whenever I got home. First time you've ever been given a curfew, and this is what you did. Dad started putting some rules in place then. Anytime you go anywhere, you drive, there's never an you have a car, I pay for your gas. There's never an excuse for you to tell me you can't get somewhere on time because you didn't have a car. I bought you a car, I pay for your gas, drive everywhere. And so it just it was a thing where I just drove everywhere because I knew, hey, at this time, I had to leave no matter what was happening and go home. So some things got put in place. But Life 360 wasn't a thing back then, where now it is something that is culturally normal and something that, we have on our kids. Our kids use it on us a lot. We'll be I forgot where we were, like Christmas shopping or something, and Carson and Cammy are texting us going, what are you doing at this store? And so our kids use it on us. Listen, I'm totally cool with that. I love that my kids are able to see where I'm at all the time. I love that Maddie's able to see where I'm at all the time. The thing I always say about accountability is the people who don't want accountability is the people who don't want accountability for whatever reason. And as warped as that is, it's the truth. There's nobody who's doing nothing inappropriate or nothing who wants nothing but clarity in their life and righteousness and holiness. They don't care about accountability because they're trying their best to do everything right. So Life 360 is a thing. Did you have Life 360 on your kids? And was it ever a rule like, hey, like I'm putting this on you and I'm following you and you're not going XYZ? What y'all's
100%.
concepts with Life 360?
I am the biggest fan of Life 360. If you they don't sponsor this, but if you don't have Life 360, you need to get it. For so many reasons.
Safety reasons.
Listen, Kimberly got a call. It was Tuesday. She got a call and they notified her that I was in an accident. Thankfully, I wasn't. I had just left my phone on top of the car. And listen, OtterBox doesn't sponsor this video either. But
they're amazing.
But they're amazing because my phone, I was going 55 down the road, flew off down 31, and I came back and got it. And as I'm walking up and grabbing it, she's calling me saying, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" But yeah, so apparently impacts triggered that. But Life 360, Kent knew that Kent has always been the greatest kid in that she's not sneaky.
Sure.
If she did something wrong, and there's plenty of times that she made mistakes.
Sure.
But if she did something wrong and we said, "Kent, did you do this?" Her answer was, "Yes." She was never that kid who would lie to you. Kent would tell you the truth. If she did something wrong, she would tell you. But yeah, she knew that we knew where they were, and I look back on that and I'm just like, how many things would be different in my youth if I knew, not even if my dad never looked at it,
right.
If I knew that he could see me all the time. And man, I look at it and I'm like, is that weird? Is that too much? But then it's just normal now. Like you said, my kids have.
It's normal.
My kids have stalked me.
My kids have it on their friends.
On their friends.
Carson has it on her boyfriend. Her boyfriend has it on her.
Yeah.
Cammy will be like, this, whatever. Emmeline was coming over and she's like, Emmeline's down at the end of the street.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? How do you know that? She got Life 360 on her. So.
What's weird is when they add them to like your family circle. Has that happened?
No. Yeah. With Maddie's
Mimi.
done it with like Mimi and Woody. You have Reagan's Life 360?
Yeah.
She has yours?
Yeah.
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 It's completely normal now.
It's so normal, and I love it because
I love it.
Because again, like you said, why would you not want that? Why are you trying to be secretive? What's happening that would benefit you from somebody not knowing where you are?
So if your kid is fighting against you that you're a tyrant because you have Life 360 on their phone, your response is,
I own the phone. I pay the bill. In all seriousness,
I feel the same way.
We had somebody come into the church one time and needed help, come in crying, and was just like, "Oh my goodness, my daughter having really, really, really a lot of problems with her daughter." And my response to her was, she's like, she never listens. If I tell her something she wasn't, I said, "Do you pay the phone bill?" She said, "Yes." The kid was 17. I said, "Okay, turn it off. Just cut it off and say, here's the phone. I own this. I own the bill. So whenever you decide to stop acting like you're acting, you can definitely have this back. I don't want it. I'm not keeping it for myself. I want it for you, but you haven't earned this. This is not a right." Yeah. So, and she came back. She's like, "Oh, that works so good." So yeah, that would be my response. If they say, then I don't want you to know where I am. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to know where my phone is. So I own that.
At what age did you start giving? So for me, Carson's curfew is 10 unless you tell me otherwise. Mm-hmm. So your curfew's 10. I know you're going to be home at 10 unless you tell me, "Hey, Dad, the movie ends at 10:20 and I'll be home at 10:30." Okay, let me know in advance. Or like, your curfew's 10 and like the last time she was like, "Hey, she was hanging out with Ricky's family and she's like, "Hey, we're leaving now, but I need to run by Walmart real quick and pick up XYZ." And I was like, "Yeah, no worries. I got her on Life 360. I see where she's at. Okay, no worries." At what point does, because you went from Kent dating, engaged, married, at what point in that process did you just kind of say, "All right, you're grown, your curfew is changing now"? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So Kent wasn't really the limit pusher.
Sure.
And so she was a lot like your brother, in that, she just, we never had to really, she had a curfew. Like when she left to go somewhere, okay, cool, be back by this time. And then kind of like that, where if we don't say any otherwise, be back by this time. But there was never really, even when they were dating, she would normally be home before the curfew.
Yeah.
And honestly, so much of their dates were, hey, are we going to be home tonight? Are you going to be home tonight? We're just going to come over and watch a movie, So Anna, though, when, she's 17 now, about to be 18 next month. And when she...
Dang, you're getting old.
Yeah, anyway, I'm getting so old. But still have an 11-year-old.
Amazing.
So he keeps me young.
You better stay young.
Yeah. I think because of Life 360, because she knows, we always know where she is, she doesn't understand the reason for the curfew near as much.
Yeah.
Because, she starts driving. She's like, okay, I'm going to go over to my friend Lily's house. And, okay, we're like, all right, cool, be back by 10. And I look, and we live 45 minutes away, and, okay, you're...
9:30, you're still there.
Yeah, you're still there. So what's going on? And she's like, oh, y'all can see where I am, And so they don't understand.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that logic, but the logic also says, I told you to be home this time. So we kind of walked through that a little bit. She learned a few lessons there.
Yeah. Caleb was very much like my brother as well, where you never had to give him a curfew because he was always
home.
Even if he wasn't home, you always knew where he was. It was like, hey, I'm going over to Johnny's to watch the national championship game. Okay, cool. Like whenever you get home, I just he was just that kid.
Yeah.
Then he got a girlfriend, and then it all changed. But apart from that,
listen, when I was growing up, my curfew was midnight. Had to be home by midnight, and I did. I was home by midnight almost without fail. But I look back on that, and I'm like, what is my kid doing out at midnight?
Life has changed so much since we were kids.
Yeah, like you need to be home before that. And two with girls, I may be completely different when Evan and Eli get of age. Evan's gonna be driving in 3 or 4 years, but these are my girls, and so Anna, like, what is there out there at that time of night?
Yeah,
So
rules for dating my daughter. If a boy is an unbeliever, what would you say?
Why are you dating him?
Okay.
That would be my first question.
And she says, because he's cute. Your response is?
I'd be like, what's your reasoning? Why are you dating him? Are you dating him to find somebody to marry?
He's cute, and I'm looking for some companionship, and I'm just enjoying his company.
And I would have a serious conversation with her about the reasoning behind dating.
Same.
You're not having companionship. I bought you a dog.
Same.
There has to be a reason. There has to be a destination you're moving towards.
Yep.
And if that destination, if you guys are moving towards different destinations, then you're just spinning your wheels.
Same. My daughter said this, and I was so proud. It was like, yes, all of my preaching got through. They hate that I preach to them, but then when it gets through, you're like, yes. She was in high school, and guys were interested in her, and she said, why would I date these guys? I'm not going to marry them. She said the only reason for dating is to see if this is the person you want to marry, and I already know I'm not going to marry these people.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
What's
dating
amazing,
any other way is, I'll say dangerous. I don't mean like, oh, it's dangerous, but it's like you're giving your heart away to people who you have no future with, to which one day you're going to have to look at your spouse and say, I can't, God is sovereign and he's able to redeem, but a portion of you that you gave to this person because they're the first person you told that you love, or they're the first person that you shared your first kiss with, or they're the first person that you shared your first ice cream cone with, or did the spaghetti Lady and the Tramp thing where you kiss each other in the mouth. All of those things that you're like, man, how cool would it have been if you'd have saved all of these first for, we talk about sexual purity and absolutely saving yourself for marriage sexually. But how cool would it have been if all of those firsts would have been with the same person?
Yeah, and I think that's just what is the point behind it? Where are you going? And because, listen, looking back on my dating life growing up, my kids always ask me like, "Oh, did you date anybody before, Mom?" And I'm like,
No.
well, maybe once or twice, but really, where are you going? And I know that for us being Christians, we have we have goals set in place, and our goals are probably not making $1 million.
Sure.
I mean, all that stuff's great. If you can be successful in life, man,
Perfect.
do it. But at the end of the day, I want my kids to have a marriage like I have, and I think that's a good thing. But also, if we aren't careful, our kids grow up not understanding the dangers, because my kids, I mean, me and Kimberly, we don't fight. I can name on probably one hand, probably, if not, definitely not more than two, the amount of times that we've got into like a yelling match, we just don't. She's wonderful, and I try to be the best husband I can be. And my kids have grown up with that.
Yep. And
my kids don't understand how bad some marriages are.
yeah, listen, Carson tells Ricky all the time, and I feel bad for him a little bit. I don't feel bad for him at all, but part of me wants to say that I feel bad for him. But she tells him all the time whenever, oh, my dad would do that, or my dad did this, or my dad does this for me, whatever it is. And so, because I've told my girls growing up, like, if you can't find a guy, I should be the baseline.
Yeah.
Like, the way I treat you and the way I treat your mom should be the baseline of what you're looking for in a guy.
Yeah.
Don't you dare feel like my dad's superhero and nobody will ever. No. Somebody will.
Yeah.
Somebody will treat you the same way I treat your mom.
Yeah.
All right. What if they dress like a fill in the blank? Let's say, is goth still a thing, Caleb? What are some oddball stuff that people dress like a cat? We'll say.
Oh my Lord.
So let's say he comes home. Anna says, "Dad, look at who I've fallen in love with. He loves Jesus, but he dresses like a cat."
I love deep conversation, and that fella's he's about to have
a deep conversation.
He's about to have a deep conversation
because it's hard at 17, about to be 18. It's really hard because you feel like if you say no, you're not dating him.
Yeah. You don't want to drive them towards it.
Right. It's that balance of, I don't want to drive you. And listen, I'll tell you, I've told Carson and Ricky this and apologized to Ricky. Early on, I was very guarded with him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be his friend. I was just very guarded with him. And so early on, I was just that way. And so I had this moment with the Lord where I said, if I'm not careful, this guy is everything I would want my daughter to marry.
Yeah.
He loves the Lord. He's a hard worker. He's a family man. He is everything. If you said, you name your top 5 things that you'd want, here it is. Boom, 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 boom. He's all of those things.
Yeah.
And so why would I, just because I think they're young or just because whatever, why would I drive her away from him into some dweeb?
Yeah.
Because I thought that this was, people looked at Maddie and I when I was a senior in high school and said, oh, this will never work. So I had to repent of some stuff, and I repented to him and to her and just said, I'm sorry for this.
Yeah, it's hard. You don't want to get too close because, Lord knows, just how young relationships are.
Yeah.
I was the same way with Eric, who's my son-in-law now.
That sounds weird, huh?
It's so weird. They've been married I think almost a year now, maybe a year. I don't know. Close. But when they first started dating, he went to church with us, seemed like a good guy. I didn't know him all that well.
Sure.
But seemed like a good guy, and they dated for, I don't know how long they dated, but they dated for a little while, and then he came up and asked if he could marry her, and we had a conversation. We had just a conversation covering some things.
And Eric is a good dude.
Eric's a good dude. Good dude.
He's such a good dude.
Yeah. She's very lucky.
She is very lucky.
He's lucky.
Yeah,
of course.
We love Kent, but
yes.
But thank God that she got Eric.
There is a huge level of comfort that me and Kimberly have knowing that she married somebody that on so many levels. People joke because when we're in pictures,
No doubt.
we he looks like he could be my son.
No doubt.
It's just because I have a beard, you know.
So does he.
And yeah.
Yeah.
He loves Marvel movies.
So do you.
Yeah. So so many things. And it's weird, they always say you're going to marry somebody like your dad.
She did.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. But, got a good head on his shoulders. All these things. Got a good job, all those things. But honestly, he could work at McDonald's and take care of my daughter.
Yep.
And that's what matters. So,
love her, love the Lord, treat
Yeah.
her well, follow after him,
yeah.
provide the best he can, and I'm thrilled.
I always said to my girls, hey, listen, I pray that God just sends you a gift, but make sure that you're a gift in return.
Amen.
Make sure that you have prepared yourself to be a gift to your spouse, just like you're praying for yourself. Why in the world would God send you this gift of a person when you haven't prepared yourself to be a gift in return?
Are you praying for your kids' spouses?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Evan, Eli, Anna,
Yeah.
you're praying for their spouses?
Yes.
I do as well.
Sometimes just in my own prayer time, they always laugh. If we're praying together at night, and I always mention their spouse.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm 11 years old. What?
Yeah,
I don't
same.
have a spouse.
My dad used to do it to me. I do the same thing. I
Yeah.
just pray for my kids' spouses. I want them to know that I'm
Yeah.
praying for them, because listen, before they're ever there, the Lord
Yeah.
knows. So before they're ever there, parents, pray for your kids' spouses.
Absolutely.
So you have boys coming up. I have a son.
Mm-hmm.
If I could give you any piece of advice as a
Yeah.
dad who's been through it with a son, my advice would be, it's so much easier than the girls.
I hope so. And listen, and my girls have been.
Because you understand the boy.
Yeah.
I never had daughters or sisters, and I only had my mom, my brother, my dad. I had a lot of testosterone in my house, and so girls are weird to me. They're strange. They're unique creatures. They cry over nothing. They fight. They laugh. They're such weird creatures. Caleb, I get him. So whenever he is acting a certain way, I may not respond the right way, but at least I feel like I have a somewhat of a grasp of what's happening in his head because I've been there. And with the girls, I have absolutely no clue what's happening in their heads. So whenever it comes to dating, just know it's, to me, as a male, and probably for Maddie, complete opposite.
Yeah.
She thinks girls are so much easier and guys are so hard to figure out. And so Caleb was a unique breed, but
I've always heard that,
yeah.
that girls are easier when they're younger, guys are easier when they're older.
I feel the same way.
And I hope so much.
Caleb was an easy kid as well, but girls, yeah. So
Well.
anyway, so there's some rules for dating my daughter. Hopefully that helps somebody out there, and hopefully it blesses your life, and you can put some things in place. I heard some people who, with the Carson podcast, they actually brought their kids into and kind of re-showed the podcast to them at their house to kind of say, hey, this is, you respect Carson and what she's done. This is what her feelings are. So even some of the stuff that we put in place, so maybe this is something that you plug into the house TV and show it on YouTube there and show your kids, maybe even some rules that we have in place.
Yeah, listen, one thing I'll say before we go is, people will look at parents like us, and your kids will possibly look at you and say the same thing is, oh, my goodness, you're sheltering your kids. 1,000% shelter your kids. Yeah. Why in the world would you not shelter your kids from all the garbage out there?
For sure. Protect them. Anyways, thanks for spending some time with us. Love y'all. Peace out. Let's go.
See you guys.
That was good. Different.